Hi, I'm Jan ten Bruggencate with Pacific Network here on Kalapaki Beach on the island of Kauai. Longtime residents know that many Hawaiian beaches are retreating. The reasons are many. The constituents of the beach are different on every beach. This one is primarily coral and coralline algae. Offshore conditions, onshore conditions, they can also impact what happens on a beach. Today we're going to find out why Hawaii's beaches are at risk. Chuck, tell me a little bit about your professional background.
Well, as you said, I'm a geologist, and that's been a great career, profession. I've had the opportunity to live and work all over the planet. Well, now I'm living in Hawaii. I love it here. It's incredible weather. I guess that's probably the main thing that attracted me. But as a geologist, I would have to say that you can put a geologist anywhere on the planet and you're going to find something very interesting. And I've discovered that Hawaii is extremely interesting geologically, and knowledge about Hawaii actually leads to better knowledge about the whole planet in terms of how it forms. So there's a great interaction in that manner.
Talk to me a little bit about what sand is made up of and how long it takes to replenish it and how it's replenished.
In 1986, I came here, it took a month, and walked around the entire edge of the island just because I was very curious about what beaches were here, how they formed, what the origin of the sand was. And that led to more detailed research in analyzing the composition of essentially every beach on this island and eventually beaches on the Big Island and other islands in Hawaii. And what I discovered is that there's an extreme variety of sediment that makes up the beaches. No two beaches on this island or any other island are the same if you look at them in some detail. In some cases there are wide variations, such as the black sand beach on the Big Island or the green sand beach. But most of the beaches on Kauai are predominantly made of material from the reef. The organisms like Kauaiʻs algae and coral and other animals that live there are broken down by the waves and then transported to the shoreline and become part of the beach because they are tough, they're very stable, and they maintain their sand size.
What are some of the creatures on the reef whose activities promote the production of sand?
Well, I used to think that the reefs in Hawaii were predominantly coral. Hardly anybody will talk about reefs in Hawaii without putting coral in front of it. But investigated the sand, I discovered that most of the sand grains are actually made of a skeleton from a plant called coralline algae, which is literally a plant, not an animal. It builds a skeleton out of calcite, and it's very tough material. Sometimes it's encrusting over the reef, sometimes it's branching on the reef, but that turns out to be the predominant constituent of the upper part of all the reefs in Hawaii. So to be accurate, you would have to say that these are more algal reefs than they are coral, or at least they're core algal kind of reefs. So mainly those animals and plants that build a skeleton out of calcium carbonate, mostly the mineral calcite, that then as the animal dies, then the skeleton is left there to be broken up by the waves, eventually down to sand size, and then end up perhaps on a beach.
So what are some of the threats to a near-shore ecosystem that could affect the production of sand for our beaches?
Well, any degradation of the reef system, if that's the main source of the sand that makes up the beaches, if you destroy the reef and destroy the source, you're going to basically end up destroying the reef. So any kind of pollution from urbanization, sometimes it's very subtle, but coral and algae are very, very sensitive, so that could kill them. Probably the biggest threat to the reef, I would think these days, is actually overfishing. Local fishing, net fishing, spear fishing. You remove the fish, and that's a major part of the reef ecosystem, and it starts killing the reef as a result of that. So any degradation of the reef, certainly mining of the reef for a lime material would take that away. Any pollution would create a problem with killing the reef, and then I think you kill the reef, you kill the beach as well.